What's up, Cowboys Nation? It's a short turnaround for the Dallas Cowboys as they are playing Thursday night on Amazon Prime for their first division game of the year. They're taking on the 1-2 New York Football Giants.
Yeah, here we go! Here's it out for Lamb. He's got it! He's gone! This is history! It's never happened in the history of the NFL!
Well, welcome back to another pre-game prediction video. And like I mentioned, short turnaround, not just for the boys, but for us here at the Tony Go Romo channel. And don't you worry, we're going to hit you with that content, and we're going to be here up until Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun, so be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content. And again, just thank you so much for each and every one of you tuning in, watching, liking these videos. And I also want to welcome a new sponsor to the channel. It's actually Homage, and they make these super awesome shirts. And you guys have seen them wear them in my video. You guys are going to see them wear some new ones in the upcoming video. So I'll post a link down below to purchase some of those cool shirts because I love them. Just wanted to throw that out there. And thank you to the new sponsor of the channel. But without further ado, first division game of the year. Cowboys are taking on the Giants. And I was looking at the schedule, and I actually find it very interesting how the Cowboys have a lot of AFC North opponents in the first half of the season. I mean, we opened against the Browns, we just played the Ravens, and we're going to play the Steelers next week. So pretty wild, but regardless, we finally get a division opponent. And on top of that, our first primetime game of the year comes in week 4. So a little bit of a different way of the season. Usually we open up with the primetime game, or usually we open up with the division rival. This time we don't see it till week 4. But the New York Giants are 1-2. They got their first win against the Cleveland Browns, which is pretty ironic because both these teams are 1-2, the Cowboys and the Giants, and both their only wins have come against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. The NFL, where anything can happen. It's just a funny league sometimes. But the Cowboys are on the road again, had their past 2 games at home. And I'll get this out of the way. I think in that season prediction video that we talked about in May, you could see that the quality opponent was stronger at home than it was on the road. Not to say that maybe the road is easier or anything like that, but this kind of felt like a road team year. and I'm getting that sense here. And we're at MetLife, and there's a lot of history between the Cowboys and the Giants, so let's jump on into it. Last time these two teams played were obviously last year as a division opponent. We take them on twice a year. Now, the Cowboys have swept the New York Giants 3 times for 3 straight seasons. I mean, this has been a completely one-sided matchup for a long time. And the Cowboys are currently on a 6-game winning streak against their division rival, the New York Giants. Last time they lost, Dak Prescott wasn't even the quarterback. Andy Dalton was the quarterback, and it was the last game of that COVID year. So it's been such a long time since we've lost at MetLife. And if you're talking about the last time that we've lost at MetLife with Dak Prescott at quarterback, it was 2016. It was a rookie year. I mean, it's been forever. And in saying that, Dak is 6-1 at MetLife against the Giants. I have to be very specific about saying and the Giants because there is one game against the Jets that shall not be mentioned. And Dak versus the New York Giants all time is 12-2. This is a matchup that he owns. And, you know, it's funny because we're saying all these stats about dominance. And, you know, you just don't want to jinx yourself. And I think every single time, and you guys can see for the past 3 years, every time that we've done a pregame prediction about this Giants game, you just always knew we were the better team. You always knew we had the better roster, and we always won. And it just always made sense. This one, obviously, is clouded with so much uncertainty because of how the Cowboys have played the last couple of weeks. Now, the biggest hope, and this is what everyone in Cowboys Nation is saying, it's the Giants. It's the Giants. We should win. We've won the last 6. Dak is 12-2. But, I mean, at some point, you know, I got to be unbiased and realistic. At some point, it has to come to an end. I hope to God it doesn't come to an end on Thursday because Dallas, the city of Dallas, would implode if the Cowboys lose to the Giants and fall to 1-3. But I'm going to say this. This is a must win. And look, in my season prediction video, I had predicted us going 1-2. getting a win on Thursday night, beating the Giants to go to 2-2. I did not foresee how it was going to happen. I thought any kind of loss that we were going to have was going to be not a blowout, not as ugly as it has looked thus far. This defense has legitimate concerns, and part of it is personnel. Part of it is we don't have a defensive tackle. But a lot of it is scheme, and we talked about it in the All-22 film breakdown, and thank you everyone for watching that one. I think the most frustrating part about this Dallas Cowboys team is they are more than capable of playing better. I think if you look at what they're doing on offense and defense, there are solutions to their problems that includes communication, being on the same page. And it's just a really weird week going on in Dallas. I mean, Mike McCarthy snapping in the press conference room. Dak is telling you to get off, and he's, get off and jump off the wagon. CeeDee Lamb's a little bit quiet, skipped the media coverage after Sunday's game. So I really hope that they channel this energy and they bounce back and punch the Giants in the face. Now, in no way is this game going to get everyone back on board, but it is a game that you should win. It is a game that you are more than capable of winning, despite how you've looked in the past two games. Cowboys are not 0-3, they're 1-2, so they've shown something in them that they could win, and they beat the Cleveland Browns. It's just a matter of returning into that form. But this is a must-win. It's early in the season, but I do not have to tell you how bad it will look and how horrible it will feel if the Cowboys lose in any way by a field goal or getting stomped to the Giants on Thursday night, because that would mean we would be 1-3, and that's something we haven't done since the Wade Phillips firing season and Jason Garrett took over. And you look at the NFC East, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders look good. I'm filming this Monday night, and I just got done watching that Commanders-Bengals game. The Eagles are going to be the Eagles. I don't think they're really that good, but they're still going to win some games. And the Cowboys have to get it going at some point. I believe that they can. This is the game to do it. This is the game they have to do it. This is a must-win for their confidence, to get their defense back on track, for the offense to get some type of momentum. I'm hoping, like everybody, that, hey, if you could do something successful like you did in the fourth quarter against the Ravens, take it on the road to New York. But, guys, I've seen this team. I know the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, like the back of my hands. And I think we've seen this narrative before where there's a lesser opponent and we are all saying, oh, yeah, we're going to bounce back. Oh, yeah, we beat them 6 straight times. Dak is 12-2. And we don't. So unbiased and realistically, that's the pessimistic side of me saying, prepare yourselves. Because I don't trust this team. But on the other hand, I'm trusting the guys in that locker room. I'm trusting the pieces that are there that we can get a win. So let's jump on into this pregame prediction video. We got the Cowboys defense versus the Giants offense. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Stats are up on the board. Of course, still a small sample size, a quarter way into the season, but this is very telling. I mean, look, you can make fun of the Giants. You can critique the Giants. But I see better consistency in this team based off these stats than the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I'm going to keep going back to this word, but the Cowboys are an anomaly. They're very confusing at the moment. They just seem very lost. The Giants are consistently a mediocre team, so I'll give them at least that. Like, they have some form of identity of what they can and cannot do. The Cowboys, however, this carrot is being dangled in front of us as fans as what to expect. Now, on the brighter side, the Ravens and the Saints have an identity, and it's to run the football on your defense. And they did exactly that. First game, Saints ran over 190 yards. Ravens had over 250 rushing yards. The Giants, little bit of breath of fresh air. they don't have that running game attack. And shame on the Giants for trading, well, not trading, but not re-signing Saquon Barkley and then allowing him to go to a NFC East rival. Shame on you, Giants. Shame on you for letting that happen. But they don't necessarily have that primary running attack. They don't have that guy they don't have that Derrick Henry. They don't have that Alvin Kamara. So, and I think the Cowboys catch a break there because the Cleveland Browns obviously have Nick Chubb, but he wasn't playing, so they had to resort to Jerome Ford. So I'm seeing a lot of glimpses. I'm getting the same feeling as perhaps that first game of the season against the Cleveland Browns on the road. This is a game that the Cowboys can manage, and this is a game that actually plays to the strengths of the Dallas Cowboys, because if the Cowboys can naturally be better in that run defense, naturally due to the Giants not having a running offense, then the Cowboys' strengths are turned back on, and that's the pass rush. Now, you got to watch out for another guy who's actually standing out in this league is Malik Neighbors. Fantastic player, had 8 receptions for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns last game, had a 127-yard day against the Commanders and a touchdown. I mean, he is just putting the league on notice and looking really good doing it. And unfortunately, outside of that, there's really just not a lot of noise that the Giants have been generating. Now, let's talk about Daniel Jones, right? Obviously, Daniel Jones is kind of the easy one to pick out and pick up, But if you look at his stats, actually doing a pretty consistent job. And, Daniel Jones is not one of those guys that he's not a top 10 quarterback. But we've seen in that playoff run that they had a couple years ago, if Daniel Jones cannot turn over the ball, be a game manager, he gives the New York Giants their best chance at winning. However, you look at that playoff year, there were so many weapons around Daniel Jones, and they had a solid defense that they were able to win games. That's not necessarily the case. The front office and the GM did not help the New York Giants this offseason. And there's a lot of young talent out there. But if you look at the stats, he hasn't been turning the ball over. And the last time he turned the ball over was against that really good Minnesota defense that they played in the season opener. Now, on the other side of that, we'll obviously talk about it when we talk about the offense. But Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott, they're having similar years. They both have 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and Dak has well over 250 yards over Daniel Jones, but pretty sad to see that. We definitely want to be in a better spot than the Giants, and we definitely don't want Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones being on the same playing level. But here's the thing. I fully expect this Cowboys defense to regain their confidence and have a good game. I think there are some things, and we talked about it in the All-22 film breakdown, there are some things that we saw in that second half. Forget about the first half. Flush that thing down the toilet. Don't look at it again. I mean, it was just terrible decisions. But I think in that second half, there were things defensively that we found that we can use to move forward. Again, this team's not 0-3. I know it feels like they're 0-3, but they're 1-2, and they actually have a good game with the good defensive tape on there. And the Giants play into that. The Giants are that offense that plays into the Cowboys' defensive strengths. And this is a game I fully expect for them to regain confidence, regain control of their run defense and their passing attack and their pressures and their sacks. And this is a game that they should dominate. That is unless they fold. That is unless that this team implodes. And that's the thing that you have to take into account in this game. I don't know how much frustration is in Dallas. Only that locker room knows. But there's a battle going on right now between the players and the scheme and the philosophy. And if you are so frustrated in this scheme, you're going to give up on it and you're not going to buy into it. And if you can't buy into the scheme and what these coordinators are trying to do, you're definitely not going to buy into the philosophy. And at that point, you're going to lose the locker room. You're going to lose this team. So that's why I say this is a must-win game, because if you lose to the Giants, that's going to take a huge shot at these guys', and I'm talking about the players. It's going to take a huge shot at the players' confidence and their belief in this team and their ability. And look, this game is about mental toughness. It is. On top of executing offensively, on top of executing defensively, it's testing the mental toughness of this team. Past couple of weeks I've been saying, I want to know what type of team that we have. Defensively, offensively. This is a put up or shut up moment for the Dallas Cowboys. Either you're going to play with pride and you're going to go on the road and represent that star and get this back to 500 and right this ship, or you're going to shut up and you're going to shut down and you're going to get embarrassed on Thursday Night Football in front of the New York Giants. There's only two choices, and this defense has to make that decision. They have to make that choice to make that effort. And that's concerning to even be having this conversation into week 4, but also it's still early in the season. And like I said in my post-game reaction video for week 3, I think naturally this was always going to be, we had to give them time to get used to Zimmer's scheme, and these players had to buy into it because it's a 1-year deal for Zimmer, and training camp isn't enough to implement these strategies. But it's got to click here. It's got to click here. And this defense found something in the second half, like I said, against the Baltimore Ravens, and I hope it's something that they can build on and grow from and take it here and win a division game. So here we go. Defensive predictions here. It's tough because in the back of my mind, I'm still pessimistic about this team, and I still don't trust them. But I still, like I said, I think they're going to be a better road team, and I think this matchup really fits into what they can do best. So I got Micah Parsons getting 2 sacks. He hasn't had a sack. He's been very quiet the past couple of weeks. I do believe he has a big game here. Reemerges, comes out of the shadows, gets 2 sacks. I do believe also this defense gets an interception. Could we be playing with 2 interceptions? I don't know, just because Daniel Jones has been doing a really good job at protecting that ball, but I definitely think 1 interception will happen. Let's say it's Trayvon Diggs. Would love to see a Diggs interception. And this one is a funny prediction, but it's a super serious prediction in the sense that I believe this defense holds the Giants under 190 rushing yards. If you can do that, I think that's a win. Like I said, 190 against the Saints, 274 against Baltimore. So if you can allow maybe just less than 150 rushing yards, I think that gives this team a fighting chance. Well, thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe as we look at this Cowboys offense versus this Giants defense. Again, the stats come up. And like I said, just polar opposites. I mean, you look at these stats, it really is yards. I mean, because Dak has, he's number 1 in the league with yards, has been passing it so much, 9th in the league. But obviously, it does not look like that when we're watching this game. It doesn't look like it when we're watching this offense. It's a lot of struggle, and I'll tell you what. I'll tell you things. I'll just tell you straight up. What does this team need to do to get back on track? Mike McCarthy needs to put this playbook and this offense back into Dak Prescott's hands. Mike McCarthy has lost my trust this far into the season. Look, you're probably wondering, whoa, that's an overreaction. I don't know, but look, this is a contract year for Mike. He's been with Dak for numerous seasons at this point. We've seen success with this offense, and you lost it. You shouldn't start 1-2. And it's not necessarily about losing the last 2 games because those were, really on the defensive side of the ball. But it's just what we've seen offensively. Our best player on the offense has been Brandon Aubrey. That's how bad this offense has been. There's really been no glimmering hope. There's been no run game. I don't know who running back number 1 is. We failed to get CeeDee Lamb the ball. And that's not entirely on him. It's because this team is poorly constructed because Brandon Cooks can't get open. Jalen Tolbert can't get open. We're not using Kevontae Turpin. We're throwing Deuce Vaughn in at random moments, and Jake Ferguson missed a game, but we failed to get him involved in the other games as well. So there's a lot of confusion, and I just can't accept that is happening right now. And the reason it's happening right now, that's unacceptable. As a coach, and I said it last week in my post-game reaction, Mike took the he took the play calling abilities of Kellen Moore. He said, give it to me. I can do it. And this is what you're getting. In a very pivotal moment of the season, start to the season, he's not performing well as a play caller. And so let's talk about this. What do the Cowboys need to do to get this offense on the ship? Which is funny because in last pregame prediction video, I said that if they get the ball, if they win the coin toss, they should accept, go out there, and they didn't. I mean, they fell flat on their face. It was horrible. Look, I know we've been very vocal about criticizing Zimmer, criticizing McCarthy. It is still on these players. And this offense, at the end of the day, even though Mike McCarthy has a ask Madden type of offense. This offense needs to be better. CeeDee Lamb needs to be better. This offensive line needs to be better. I mean, just poor play from the offensive line. And like I always say, it starts at the line. And if you're not dominating the line, if you're not giving a solid contribution on the offensive line, forget who's your quarterback back there. It could be Joe Montana. It could be Tom Brady. Doesn't matter. It's going to be a hard day for him. So what are things that need to happen on Thursday on this quick turnaround, which I think actually helps? I think it actually helps because that loss is so fresh in their mind that they know exactly what they need to fix, that it's just going to, like, they have no choice but to keep this train moving and go to Thursday and channel that. So what needs to happen? I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Rico Dowdle is running back number 1. Use Zeke in pass protection and short yardage situations only. And I also want you to elevate Dalvin Cook. Rico Dowdle is the best running back in this squad right now. He easily gives you more runs. Zeke, we failed to use him in the short yardage situations, which is dumb because we had 2 2-point conversions and we'd even give him the ball, which why do you bring Zeke back if you're not even going to give him the ball? And every down where Zeke gets a run, whether it's on first or second down, it's a waste of a down. I mean, it's just an automatic 1 or 2 yard gain that goes nowhere. Elevate Dalvin Cook. Let's see what he's got. I mean, we are literally at the bare minimum when it comes to this running back committee. It's not working. And, you know, what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So put Dalvin Cook in there. Include him in the lineup. And I would say have Dalvin Cook take Deuce Vaughn's place. If you're not even going to, and they lied to us. They were like, we're going to use Deuce Vaughn in passing packages, and they haven't done that. You know, there's been 1 or 2 plays Deuce as a pass. So put Dalvin Cook in there, replace Deuce's spot with Dalvin Cook. Other thing, tempo simply needs to be better. Get Dak in a rhythm, and you saw that against the Baltimore game. That as soon as Mike wasn't calling the plays and kind of Dak was in this hurry up mode and kind of feeling it and moving around the pocket. Get Dak in a rhythm. This offense works better when it's up tempo and it has a rhythm, play action. Give me some creativity for God's sake with this offense. Pre-snap motion, get Turpin involved, get him moving, get things moving pre-snap to not give the Giants any idea of what's going to come their way. Make it difficult. Don't make it easy on the defense. Find creative ways. And we talked about it in the All-22 film breakdown, but you just got to get the ball into your playmakers' hands. It's as simple as that. And I don't know why they're overcomplicating it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the All-22 film breakdown for the Cowboys and Ravens game. And there's just, you know, screens that you can do and creative ways that you can give CeeDee the ball, Turpin the ball, Cooks the ball, Jalen Tolbert the ball, Rico Dowdle the ball. There's just creative ways where you don't have to have Dak sit back in the pocket and get pressured, but you can get the ball out of Dak's hands and get into the playmaker's hands. Simple things that Mike McCarthy can implement to make this offense a few steps better. And that's what's the frustrating thing about it. Again, it's not our personnel. I mean, that's part of it, and our players need to be better, but it's simple things like that, simple adjustments that they refuse to make, that is holding this team back and causing confusion more than moving them forward. And the route concepts just have to be better. They have to be better. They're a mess right now, and that goes back into getting the ball out of Dak's hands quick and getting this into our playmakers' hands. So here we go. Offensive predictions. I do expect them to be better, and I do think the short week helps this team to get into a rhythm. And I think this short week actually really helps the Cowboys and benefits them. So offense predictions. I got Dak Prescott going for 2 touchdowns. I think he bounces back. I think he has a really great game. And I'm going to predict a Jake Ferguson touchdown. And finally, a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. It's about time, right? We need 88 in the end zone. So CeeDee Lamb touchdown. Those are my offensive predictions. All right, thank you once again for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And let's jump in to the game prediction. Well, the Cowboys are a road team this year. We talked about that. Definitely not a home team. They're 0-2 at home right now, which is unfortunate. But that's okay. I think the road is where the road tests you more than anything because it forces you to bond. It forces you to find an identity, because if you don't have an identity and if you're not scraping and clawing, you're going to find out real quick and you're not going to survive on the road. So this is going to be this is a put up or shut up game for the Cowboys, like we talked about already. This is a game that is a must win. And I wasn't really expecting that to say that early in the year at week 4, but it's how they've lost the last 2 games that have really put the Cowboys nation in a place where they're very concerned and frustrated and angry and upset with this team, because 1-2 is not necessarily bad. There's a lot of teams that are in worse spots or at the same spot as the Cowboys that maybe had playoff aspirations. But it's the way that they're losing these games. It's the confusion. And like I said, I think there are certain things that both sides of the ball can implement that can give their players more confidence so that they could play better. This is a must win. And you're either going to fall apart, implode on national TV in front of the nation, and you're going to lose the locker room, or you're going to play with pride and you're going to play for your season right here, because you have to fight back at some point. Enough complaining about the calls, about the players, about professionalism. At some point, you got to stop talking and you got to go do it. And that's what I want this Cowboys team to do. I want to see if they're mentally tough enough to bounce back and win on the road. And this is a perfect matchup. This is a gift. This is a gift from the football gods saying, hey, I know you're struggling and you've been really good against the Giants historically. So I'm going to throw you a bone to get back to 500. And if the Cowboys don't win this, they deserve every bit of criticism, hate, anarchy, anything that comes to the Dallas Cowboys if they lose this game. If they win, though, pat on the back. You did your job. You did what you're supposed to. Now move on to Pittsburgh. Don't play around with this game. Don't play around with this game. Go get a win. This team is way more than capable of getting a win, and they should win. Let's get that straight. They should win this game. So, I got the Cowboys winning. I got them bouncing back. I got them going to 2-2. And I got them going back to 500. I'm hesitant because there is a part of me that is worried about the mental toughness of this team and possibly imploding. But I will not be unbiased and realistic for this week, and I will be optimistic. And I say the Cowboys win. They get their first win in the division against the division this season. Cowboys win on the road on Thursday night, Amazon Prime Football. They get the win, 26-17. Well, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and be sure to check out the rest of the videos. And of course, as always, I will see you after the game Thursday night. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Go Cowboys.